My cousin works at a pharmacy in Auckland, New Zealand. Last month, this American woman walked in demanding to see the manager because we didn't have a drive-through window. She insisted she'd been promised that all pharmacies worldwide had them because it's a basic human right to get your medication without leaving your car. My cousin explained, "We don't really do drive-through pharmacies here." She pulled out her phone and started reading from some travel blog. "It says right here that New Zealand is just like America but with better scenery," she announced. "That means drive-throughs are mandatory." My cousin pointed to the walk-in door. The woman spent 10 minutes sitting in her rental car in our parking lot, honking, waiting for someone to bring her prescription out. Eventually, she came inside, fuming about false advertising and how the American dream had lied to her about global convenience standards. "I'm a hotel receptionist in Reykjavik, Iceland. An American couple checked in last week and immediately asked where they could find a 24-hour Walmart. When I told them we don't have Walmart in Iceland, the husband looked genuinely distressed. But we were promised America-level shopping everywhere we go," he said, showing me a Pinterest board his wife had made titled International Walmarts. She'd pinned photos of various big-box stores from around the world, all labeled as Walmart locations. I explained that Iceland has grocery stores that close at reasonable hours. "This is a betrayal of the American consumer," the wife declared. She then asked if our socialist government was hiding the Walmarts from tourists. They spent their first evening driving around Reykjavik at midnight, convinced they'd find a hidden Walmart if they looked hard enough. My brother runs a small cafe in Hanoi, Vietnam. Last summer, an American man came in and got angry when we didn't have ranch dressing. Not just mildly disappointed, genuinely angry. "Every restaurant in the world serves ranch," he insisted. "It's an international standard established by the Geneva Convention or something." My brother offered him our house-made chili sauce instead. The man refused and launched into a lecture about how the American dream included the promise that ranch dressing would follow Americans wherever they traveled. "Our forefathers didn't fight for independence just so I could eat spring rolls without ranch," he said, completely serious. He left a 1-star review online claiming we were discriminating against American dietary freedoms. It gave us 1 star instead of 0 only because the spring rolls would have been perfect with ranch. I work at a bank in Copenhagen, Denmark. An American customer came in absolutely livid because we'd asked him to take a number and wait in line like everyone else. "I'm an American citizen," he announced to the entire branch. "The American dream promised me that Americans get priority service everywhere. Because of our economic contributions to global freedom," it showed me a laminated card he'd made himself that said, "Priority American customer," with an eagle on it. When I explained that Denmark's banking system treats everyone equally, he accused us of socialism. "This is exactly what they warned us about in history class," he muttered. "Europeans who don't understand the proper hierarchy." He sat down and refused to take a number, waiting for someone to acknowledge his self-proclaimed VIP status. After 40 minutes, he finally took a number and waited like everyone else, but made sure to tell each staff member that he was doing this under protest. His complaint letter too. Corporate claimed we had violated international protocols for American service, priority, and demanded we install a separate, American-only line. My sister manages a cinema in Dublin, Ireland. Last month, an American family bought tickets and then tried to bring in 2 large pizzas and a bucket of fried chicken from outside. When we stopped them, the father became indignant. "We're Americans," he declared. "The Constitution guarantees our right to outside food anywhere we want." It insisted that international treaties signed after World War II specifically allowed Americans to bring their own food into any establishment because we saved Europe twice. My sister explained that outside food wasn't allowed due to our concessions policy. His teenage daughter chimed in with, "But TikTok said Europe is basically America with accents. That means same rules." The father threatened to call the American embassy about this clear violation of our freedoms, eventually ate their pizza in the lobby, shooting dirty looks at everyone who entered. The father left muttering about how the American dream had promised them that freedom would be universal and portable. I work at a doctor's office in Sydney, Australia. An American patient came in for a consultation and was shocked when we asked him to remove his shoes in the examination room. "Americans don't take their shoes off indoors," he informed me. "It's actually written into our founding documents somewhere," and I explained it was a hygiene policy. He launched into an explanation about how American acceptance meant that American shoes were self-sanitizing through superior manufacturing. He claimed that Benjamin Franklin had invented a special shoe cleaning technology that all American footwear still used. "That's why Americans can wear shoes anywhere without consequence," he said confidently. "It's science." He refused to remove his shoes and instead offered to sign a waiver, accepting full responsibility for the cleanliness of American footwear on Australian soil. The doctor had to explain 3 separate times that this was a non-negotiable policy. The man finally complied, but kept his socks on and made sure to tell everyone in the waiting room that Australia was violating the spirit of American footwear independence. A tour guide at a museum in Amsterdam, Netherlands. An American woman on my tour kept interrupting to ask when we'd get to the American section. I explained that this was a Dutch museum focused on Dutch history. She seemed genuinely confused. "But America influences everything," she said. "So technically all history is at least partly American history." She insisted that the golden age of Dutch trade only happened because the Dutch were inspired by the American dream even before America existed. When I corrected her timeline, America didn't exist. During the Dutch golden age, she doubled down. "The American dream transcends time," she explained. "It's a spiritual concept that all successful civilizations have tapped into retroactively." Asked if we had any exhibits about how Dutch painters were clearly trying to paint American style freedom before they knew what it was. She seemed genuinely disappointed that we didn't have a gift shop section dedicated to American-themed tulips. My uncle owns a restaurant in Lyon, France. An American couple dined with us and became increasingly agitated as the meal progressed because the service wasn't fast enough for them. When their appetizer took 15 minutes to arrive, the husband called the waiter over. "In America, the land of the free, appetizers arrive in 7 minutes maximum," he stated, as if this were international law. "The American dream extends to meal pacing worldwide." His wife nodded vigorously and added, "We were told that European restaurants would adapt to American timing expectations by now because of globalization." When the main course took another 20 minutes, they demanded to speak to my uncle. He explained that French dining is meant to be leisurely and enjoyed. The husband looked appalled. "That's exactly the kind of inefficiency that holds Europe back," he said. "Americans figured out how to optimize dining in the 1950s, and we generously shared that knowledge globally." They left before dessert, leaving a review claiming we were suspiciously slow on purpose to punish Americans for winning World War II. I work behind the counter at a traditional tea shop in Kyoto, Japan. An American man walked in last week and ordered a green tea, then immediately asked for ice, 6 sugars, and a slice of lemon. When I explained that's not how we typically serve our tea, he laughed. "I know you're just being polite," he said. "But you can drop the act, everyone. Customizes their drinks American style now because it's objectively better." He insisted that Starbucks had proven scientifically that beverages should be customizable to infinite degrees and that this principle had been adopted by the United Nations as a global standard. "The American dream promised me that I could have my drinks exactly how I want them, anywhere on Earth," he explained. When I brought him the traditional tea, he stared at it suspiciously. He took one sip and then spent 10 minutes trying to flag me down to remake it the right way. He eventually left the tea untouched and wrote online that our tea shop was stuck in the past and refusing to embrace the American innovation of drink customization that revolutionized the beverage industry in 1995. My dad runs a street food stall in Bangkok, Thailand. An American tourist approached and asked what we served. When my dad explained it was pad thai and som tam, she wrinkled her nose. "Do you have anything normal?" she asked. "Like a burger or pizza?" My dad politely said no. "We specialize in Thai food." She looked genuinely shocked. But I read that the American dream means American food is available everywhere because it's the universal standard of cuisine, she said. She pulled up an article on her phone about how McDonald's operates in Thailand and used it as evidence that all food establishments here should offer American options. If McDonald's can do it, why can't you? She challenged. My dad explained that we're a traditional Thai food stall. She accused him of being deliberately exclusionary to American tourists and suggested he was losing business by not adapting to what she called global food democracy. She took a photo of our menu and posted it online with a caption about how some places still refuse to acknowledge American culinary contributions to world cuisine. Work at a busy restaurant in Buenos Aires, Argentina. An American family came in, and when I brought their bill, the father looked at it and said, "Where's the tip line?" I explained that the tip was already included in the service charge. He looked suspicious. But Americans invented tipping, he said. It's our thing. We should get to decide how much to tip, not have it decided for us. His wife agreed, adding that the American dream includes the freedom to tip based on personal judgment of service quality. And that's a right that follows Americans everywhere. I explained that it's our standard practice. The father tried to do the math to figure out what percentage the included tip was, then announced it wasn't enough by American standards. He left extra cash on the table and made a big show of telling me this is how Americans tip because we value service properly. He acted like he was teaching me a vital lesson about economic freedom. On their way out, he told the hostess that Argentina should consider adopting the American tipping model, since it's clearly superior and more fair to workers. My cousin works at the train station in Zurich, Switzerland. Last week, an American man approached the ticket counter and asked for a ticket to Paris. My cousin told him the price and the journey. Time about 4 hours. The man looked stunned. 4 hours? But I drove across Texas in less time than that, he said. Texas is way bigger than the distance between Switzerland and France. When my cousin showed him the route on a map, the man shook his head. This doesn't make sense. The American dream taught us that America is efficient because of our size and scale. Smaller countries should be faster by default. He insisted that European trains must be slower than American cars on purpose. It's probably a cultural thing where you guys prefer taking your time because you don't value efficiency like Americans do, he mused. He bought the ticket, but spent his wait time in the station, explaining to other travelers that if Europeans adopted American attitudes about speed and progress, their trains would be much faster. Several people moved away from him. I work at a rental car agency in Wellington, New Zealand. An American customer was picking up his car and I explained that we drive on the left side of the road here. He laughed and waved me off. I know you have to say that for legal reasons, he said. But everyone actually drives on the right because that's the American way and it's been adopted globally because it's safer. He insisted that driving on the left was just for show and that once he got on the highway, everyone would switch to the right side like normal people. I showed him a diagram and explained that it's the law. He seemed annoyed. The American dream is about freedom of movement, he declared. That includes the freedom to drive on whichever side of the road makes sense. I had to make him sign 3 extra waivers acknowledging that he understood New Zealand's traffic laws. As he drove away, he was carefully staying on the left side, but he kept gesturing to other drivers as if they were all in on some kind of elaborate prank. I'm a language school coordinator in Barcelona, Spain. An American student enrolled, and on his first day, he asked when we'd be switching to English. I explained that this was a Spanish language school. The whole point was to teach Spanish. He looked confused. But I thought everyone in Europe speaks English now because of American cultural influence, he said. Learning Spanish seems kind of redundant. When I explained that Spanish is the primary language in Spain, he argued that English had become the universal default thanks to American movies and music. The American dream promised that English would be everywhere, he said. That's why Americans don't really need to learn other languages. Everyone else already learned ours. I told him that's exactly why he should learn Spanish to communicate with Spanish speakers. He seemed to consider this a personal attack on American exceptionalism. He lasted 2 weeks before dropping out, insisting the whole time that the class should at least be 50% in English as a compromise between Spain's traditions and America's Global Linguistic Contributions. Work at a tourist information center in Prague, Czech Republic. An American couple came in with a map and asked how to get to Vienna for a day trip. I explained it's about a 4-hour drive or train ride. They looked at each other in disbelief. We thought all European cities were basically next to each other, the husband said. Like a 20-minute drive max. His wife showed me an itinerary they'd planned that included visiting Prague, Vienna, Budapest, and Munich, all in one day. The American dream is about efficiency and maximizing experiences, she explained. We assumed European countries were set up for that kind of touring because America showed the world how to do tourism right. I showed them an actual map with distances and travel times. They seemed genuinely upset, as if the geography itself was misleading them. The husband muttered something about how European countries should consolidate for better tourist access, and how America had figured out the optimal spacing between cities centuries ago. Left to revise their entire trip. Clearly feeling betrayed by the physical reality of European geography, I'm a flight attendant on international routes based in Singapore. Last month, I had an American passenger who spent the entire flight from Los Angeles to Singapore complaining about the cultural differences he'd encountered. On his trip through Asia, he'd been shocked that not everyone accepted US dollars, that tipping wasn't universal, and that people didn't all speak English fluently. The American dream sold us a bill of goods, he told me as we prepared for landing. We were promised that American culture would spread everywhere and make travel easy. But people still insist on doing things their own way. He seemed genuinely hurt by this revelation, as if other countries maintaining their own cultures was a personal betrayal. When I reminded him that diversity is what makes international travel interesting, he shook his head. Diversity is great and all, he said, but I thought it meant everyone being diverse in the same American-approved way. He requested extra customs forms because he wanted to file a formal complaint about unmet expectations of global Americanization with someone, though he wasn't sure who. The thing that gets me is how genuinely surprised these folks are when the world doesn't work exactly like America. It's not malicious. They really believe the promise that American influence had reshaped everything everywhere. It's almost endearing in its naivety, watching them recalibrate their expectations one confused encounter at a time. But hey, at least they're traveling and learning. Even if the lessons come with a side of bafflement and strongly worded Yelp reviews,